Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ReelTok episode 119. Today is Cam and myself. Seth potentially will be joining. We recorded the real quick and real Patreon before this, and then he's not feeling that well. So we'll see if he's able to come back in. George will definitely not be here this week, but Seth, he was here with us, feeling a little under the weather. So hopefully he feels better. We'll see if we see him on this episode or not. You'll have to wait and stay tuned to see. But until then, you got Cam and myself both rocking the little stubbles. So, we're usually clean shaven men, and then we're starting to
leave goatee.
Yeah, we're boys to men now. We're starting to get a little, we're starting to grow up a bit, and we're starting to mature, get out of the slop fest and starting to get some film festival scruff. But today we're going to be reviewing Kraven the Hunter, or I'll be reviewing Kraven the Hunter. If Seth joins, he'll be talking Lord of the Rings War for the Rohirrim. And then Cam and I both watched Carry On, or did you? Yeah, you watched Carry On, right? Yep. So both of us watched Carry On. So we'll be talking that, which is kind of the consensus best movie that was released this week. So that works. Golden Globes nominees were announced. We'll go through those. And the latest trailers and movie news. We got quite a bit of some good stuff this week. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. So first off, I want to say shout out to all of our Patreon members. Thank you so much for being a patron. And shout out to our executive producer, Stefan Johnson, absolute king. Man, Cam and I are both sick too. This is just a straight up flu game. Well, this is we got
it's going to be bad.
Sick. We got Cam and I sick. George not here, so bear with us this holiday season. But again, you can use code 20% off, or use code Santa for 20% off Patreon, whether you want a new month, whole year. If you're a Patreon already, if you want to become a patron, go ahead and join using code Santa. With that, let's get into the episode. First, I want to say big shout out to Aiden. Sent us an email this week. We love you, man. Thank you so much. Really touched all of us. Super, super heartfelt stuff. Just it's a great time of year with Spotify Wrapped, and that message just to really ground us, remind us how much we love doing this podcast. So we're your friends. We love you, man. Hope you're doing good. Hope you enjoy this episode, even though it's a flu game for all of us here. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to this. Cam, how are you doing this week? What have you been watching? Fill us in.
Yeah, it's been a long week. I've been sick, as you mentioned. So now, I feel fine now. I just have this cough. It feels like I have I can't suck in air. Ever since I got COVID, I feel like every time I get a cold, I just get a cough.
Vaxxed question mark?
I'm vaxxed 20 times, man.
No, I'm just saying. I just love anytime I see that, and as a Twitter reply, it's this person just died, and the top reply is vaxxed.
Yeah, vaxxed. That is a good reply. I'm vaxxed 30 times over, man. I can't get any more at this point. But maybe that's what's killing me. I don't know. I have this awful cough. I spent 2 days not being able to be around Sutton or Bailey. Really, I spent more time with Bailey because his immune system is built up, but a 2-week-old doesn't really have that immune system. So that really sucked. You may think of it as 2 days of not having to deal with kids. Sometimes those are nice to get away, but when you're just writhing in bed, coughing and seeping out sweat because you're hot and cold at the same time, it sucks, man. It's just awful. But other than that, it's been a fine week. Still on paternity leave. We showed Bailey The Year Without a Santa Claus this week, which was really special just because I love that movie, loved it as a kid. He was into it. He watched the whole thing, which is good. Showed Bailey The Lion King this week. He was into that as well. That one we had to, that one we watched in the middle of the day. So he's not as tired. So that one we had to do in 2 parts. He's got an attention span of about 20 minutes. So 2 parts isn't that bad. But those are what we watched with him. Watched Tenet for the ReelTok Patreon review. So like Tyler said, use code Santa to get on the Patreon grind. We have, I think you mentioned, 47 reviews out at this point, and just on Patreon exclusively. And this week we talked Tenet. So if you're a big Christopher Nolan fan, it's a wonderful movie. Watch Carry On. Kind of pissed I didn't get to go see Kraven this week. Just not getting out of the house on my own a whole lot, unfortunately. So didn't get to see Kraven, which stinks. Big Sony Spider-Verse guy. Would have loved to shit on it because it sounds like it's awful. But kind of bummed I missed that one, but did get to watch Carry On. Other than that, didn't watch a ton. Didn't do a ton. Yesterday I had a friend in town, so I had two best men at my wedding. My friend who just got married, we were his best men. So my best men were in town, so I went and saw them last night, which was good to catch up with them. Just kind of watched basketball all night. We went to like a Buffalo's. If anyone's a IU fan in the chat, a Buffalo's is I guess a big buffalo wing bar down there. They just put one up here in Middle Indiana. Went there kind of to enemy country a little bit because it is like still, even though it's in Middle Indiana, it's still a big like IU bar. And my buddy, one of my friends, graduated from Notre Dame, so he was wearing Notre Dame gear. So like talking to the bartender about that was just fun, a fun time. Good environment, good wings. So if you're in the central Indiana Carmel area, like Buffalo's, very good. Can't recommend it enough, even though it is an IU bar. And that didn't do a ton this week, man. It was a good week. Just kind of, I was talking to you off pod about it, Tyler. It's just kind of feeling cooped up in the house a little bit with the two kids. But not a bad thing by any means. Just a little stir crazy at moments, but still a good week. Other than being sick.
Yeah, being sick's never fun. My week traveling once again. I feel like I travel a lot for work. I feel like when I'm gone a week and then home a week, I don't seem to get sick. But when I have these back-to-backs, which last time I was sick was a couple months ago, was when I traveled 2 weeks in a row. This week, I was my second week in a row traveling. I feel like that's when I'm getting sick no matter what. There's no choice. But went to Birmingham, Alabama. Don't know if you've ever been to the great state of Alabama. It's my first time ever to Alabama. And,
I've been to Orange Beach like for spring break in middle school.
Is that in Bama?
I think so, right? Orange County in
I don't know.
Let me look it up. Orange County or Orange Beach. Yeah, city in Alabama. Okay. So it's not Orange County. It is Orange Beach. So that's the extent of my Bama knowledge.
Yeah. We've both been to the great state of Alabama. It's my first time there. Birmingham is a city, not a place I need to be again. We went on our second day to the supplier. So I mentioned last week what I do for work. One of the things like the capacity assessments. This week it's supplier onboarding. So new suppliers that want to become a supplier to us. We have this cross-functional team that goes out to make sure they're like up to snuff, and then we kind of give them the green light, like, yes, you can be part of our supplier base, or no, you're not capable. Second day we're going there. The two manufacturing engineers on our team were driving, and right in front of them there was a road rage incident where someone just got out and just started bashing the car with the baseball bat. So I had to quickly peel out and just drive away and skirt away.
Yep.
And then the owner of the company is like, yeah, there's just straight up gunfire outside of our business, like all the time. I'm like, yeah, that's great to hear. Love that.
Yeah.
But so Birmingham, and also it was in downtown, which I hate staying in hotels downtown because like the parking situation always sucks ass.
Yep.
So I had to valet my car, which I hate valeting, man. Like I get it. I get the point. You don't really have like a parking garage, so you have to have valet but man, I hate valets so much because
I'm with you.
It's expensive. It's a hassle. And it's just like, it just feels like too bougie for what I need. Like, I'm like, no, it's just like, I just let me park my car, man. I don't need some person to come they're like holding the door open for me. I'm like, this is just I'm just a guy, man. I don't need this, like acting like I'm something special, but valets are annoying. But it's on the company money and tipping them and all that. So not like the end of the world. But yeah, I was in Birmingham, came back, almost missed my flight back. So basically I'd switch over to Delta in June. So I wanted to become Delta Gold because I was like $300 away from being like a Delta Gold, which gives like there's silver, gold, and platinum and diamond. And I travel so much for work. Like none of this is personal travel. This is all work travel. Got me to right under gold. So I paid $300 to upgrade to first class for my flight home, just to like get over the spend threshold to be gold. And it's the first time I've ever been on one of the planes because I don't travel internationally ever, where it has like the two aisles. So it's like, the aisle, like there's two aisles, there's the middle, 3 rows, and you have 2 rows on each side of each aisle. And my first class was the kind where you could like lay flat. It was really nice, but I just worked on the flight the whole time. But travel's done for 2024. So that's huge. I'm excited. I have 4 weeks off of no travel. But then in January, I'll be going to New Hampshire. Then I'll be going to Pennsylvania, and then Kentucky, and New York and Boston. So we got hot and heavy travel coming up. So I'm taking a full 2 weeks off for the holidays, just like decompress and relax from traveling. but yeah, so just travel. Now I'm back and big fantasy football weekend. So, I know this comes out on Monday. So there's some Monday night games, I guess, that'll determine my fate. But probably by the time it's released, I'll kind of know which way the wind's blowing, if it's going to be a happy weekend or a sad weekend for fantasy football.
That's fair.
What I watched this week, so on my flight to Birmingham, I watched 2 movies. I watched DD first, which is just kind of a movie that seemed up my alley that I've just been putting off for this year. I'm trying to really cram in the 2024 release to end the year before we get into ranking season and ReelTok award season. So watched DD, liked it a lot, 3.5 out of 5 for me. Didn't love it as much as some people seem to, but kind of like all coming of age stories, you feel like it really all depends on just how much you can relate to it. I think Joan Chen delivers one of the greatest performances of the year as the mother in the film. But it's a coming of age film that kind of is about relatively close to our age. So, the time frame of when their kids are kind of about right when we were kids. There's a lot of nostalgia, obviously, looking back at that time frame and think of what it was like of you growing up with your friends at the time. But Joan Chen, awesome. 3.5 out of 5. Recommend DD. Just a good, solid watch. And then I watched Beetlejuice or Beetlejuice. I had more fun with this than I thought. I mean, basically, it's kind of like right around where I have the original Beetlejuice. I know some people are like very much attached to that movie. I wasn't really, so I wasn't really super excited or cared for Beetlejuice. But kind of similar issues to what I'll talk about with Kraven when we review that is that this movie was like had potential and was like solid, but they had like 12 storylines they're trying to go through. And the only storyline I cared for, people who've seen it, was Jenna Ortega and her boyfriend, who's like, or not boyfriend, the date she goes on, who's like trying to steal her soul. Love that. But the problem is this movie's like an hour, 40 minutes. And that storyline starts at like minute 50 and it wraps up at like an hour 20. So it's like, that's just like a slice of the film. And then there's like stuff with like a wedding that's going down, stuff with, let's see, Delia's character, anything with Willem Dafoe, just so much stuff that I just didn't really care for. So 2.5 out of 5, a lot I liked, a lot I didn't like. Watch Woman of the Hour, which is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, which is like a true crime about a serial killer who she meets on a dating show, like the kind where it's like you and this happened in like the 80s, I believe. It's like where you have like a wall and like there's 3 guys, and then Anna Kendrick's like the woman. She's like a failed actress who's like trying to get any work she can. She goes on the show, and it's like guy number 2, what's your answer to this question? And like you have to pick based on that who you go on a date with, and she chooses the guy who's like the serial killer. But it's solid. It's like a 3 out of 5. It feels a lot like Zodiac at times. And it also kind of feels like a true crime podcast, like translated directly to the screen. But I like Anna Kendrick, and it kept my attention. It's a 3 out of 5. It wasn't anything that blew me away, but a solid movie. It's on Netflix now. It just was released on Netflix. Then after that, I watched Terrifier because I'm trying to watch Smile 2 and Terrifier 3 because, we got to get 5 nominees for Best Horror of the Year. So I got to make sure I'm watching all these ones. And watched Terrifier 1. It was kind of what I expected, just crazy, gory, and very low budget feeling. I mean, the practical effects and the graphicness didn't feel low budget, but in the sense that it felt very much like like a Jeff Prophet movie. Shout out our patrons, or like just very much just like seems like a passion project and not really like anything a studio would be cranking out. But Terrifier 2, got to watch that before I can watch Terrifier 3. I gave it a 2-star. I don't think I hated it or was as repulsed by it as some people were, but also I don't really get the cult classic vibe that a lot of people love about it. So I'm, 2 out of 5 is kind of more in the middle of where some people fall on it. Then on my plane ride back, I rewatched Tenet, which we'll talk about on Friday with the Patreon review, which like Cam said, there's 47 reviews out there for you. If you're not a patron, you have so much content you could be binging over this holiday season. And then the Social Network as well to round out the flight, which is just always a good time. Oh, yeah. And then watched Kraven the Hunter with Riley. Once I got home, we went to the theater, which we'll review momentarily, which is the same thing I'll say about Carry On. And then I also watched Black Hat, rewatched that Michael Mann film. I haven't logged it yet. I've watched, I saw it initially in theaters, and I watched it basically over the past like 3 travel trips I've went on. I've like been breaking it up into 45-minute chunks. So not really a continuous watch. Just been slowly chipping away at it on Netflix. And then I watched Rebel Ridge yesterday. So I haven't logged that yet, but I know that like a lot of people really like that from this year. I liked it as well. Did you watch it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it as well. I loved the first like 45 minutes to an hour. And then I felt it got a little too big for its britches. Like this whole like conspiracy that got like, I don't know. I kind of liked it when it was more like a man versus police and like I really like that. And then it became like something like a huge, like the town and conspiracy and all this stuff, which is still a good movie. Don't get me wrong, it's nitpicking, but I think I really liked the first half, and then the second half not quite as much.
I forgot to mention that I did watch Interstellar this week again, and it's the most comments I've gotten on any review in forever. I'm a, George and Seth get a lot of comments on it on their posts. You may as well, Tyler. I'm a 3 to 4 comment a post guy. 50 comments on this one, just telling me I'm an idiot. Couple here and there that are like, W, this dude's cooking. Like, if I'm gonna be a hater, I might as well be a hater. I used to always say Interstellar's a good movie, and I still think it is a good movie. But I had it at like a 4.5. I hadn't watched it in forever, so I rewatched, brought it down to a 67 out of 100, 3.5. It's a good movie. It's visually stunning. Don't give a shit about any of the characters. It's overly long. I'm sorry. It's just where I'm at. If I'm a hater, I'm a hater. Crazy that like people came out of the woodworks for my review for the first time ever. Just basically to tell me I'm an idiot. That's always a good time. I got to just start reviewing a bunch of movies very negatively, and then I'll get more popular, I guess.
No, I'm the same. I'll get only like 2 comments or 3 comments unless I rate a movie people love negatively, or if you rate a movie people love a 5-star, then people be like, "Come on, yeah, exactly."
Yeah.
I saw like a behind the scene clip of Timothée Chalamet talking about Interstellar, and it was like funny. He was saying he thought that was gonna be like his big break because he thought like his emotional acting was really good in that like the video call scene, but then he was talking about how they just kept the camera on, like he was talking, you hear him talking the video call, but it's just the camera's on Matthew McConaughey crying the whole time. So he's like, I saw the movie, I'm like, damn it, man, I thought this was gonna be like my moment to like show it off, and it's just Matthew McConaughey's face. But then obviously that came out recently where Timothée Chalamet said it's his favorite movie he's been in, or the one he rewatches the most, which makes a ton of sense. Like if you think about yourself as an actor, I feel like for me, I wouldn't like to watch the ones that I'm like leading, and he's barely in that movie. So I'm like, I know there's Interstellar haters like, oh, why does he? That's his favorite. I feel like it's got to just be the fact that that's probably the biggest movie he's been in that he's like in the least. So like I feel like it just makes sense that it's easier to watch.
I fully get it, man. I fully get the Interstellar love. Just every time I watch it, I'm like, man, I don't give a shit about any of these characters except maybe Cooper. I don't care what happens to Murph. I just don't. Anne Hathaway's character couldn't even tell you her name. I just don't. Dr. Brand, I think. I just don't care about him. I don't know why. I just don't. I'm sorry.
That's fair. Everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinion.
John Lithgow, he can go get fucked.
John Lithgow's in that movie too. God,
yeah, he's the
oh
dad.
Yeah, he's the God, yeah.
He gives a better, more emotional dad in How I Met Your Mother than he is in Interstellar. Man. That's more emotional in that show. But
listeners, take notes for the next time we do like the hottest ReelTok takes. We can.
Yeah, people a couple of comments that were like, "Good job doing this after the like hottest takes." I mean, I've always had this same sentiment. I just like we found it in many different movies where I'm like, yeah, that's a fine movie, and then like I watched it 4 years ago and gave it a 4.5. Just like I don't know how I rated back then versus how I do now. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it happens.
With that, we'll get into the bulk of our episode here now. So I'm guessing Seth will not be joining us today. He's really going through it, being sick. So Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. I'll mention it quickly because he reviewed it. He's the only one who saw it, and he gave it a 2-star. And Anna, his fiance, gave it a 2.5. And he was really let down by it. He mentioned in our group chat, he said he might dislike it more because he likes the Lord of the Rings movie so much. But Cam, I think in the same boat. I think we both don't like Lord of the Rings as much as most people.
Not in love with it by any means.
Yeah, no. I'm not either. And obviously, as you know, I'm an animation hater on some aspects. So this kind of just sounds like a recipe for a movie that there's no shot I'm going to like. If Seth's given a 2-star, that's probably the
I mean, honestly, Seth said he hated it more than others because he's such a Lord of the Rings fan. I haven't seen many people give it much higher than a 2-star. So I don't know if maybe he gave it a bump and thinks he hated it because he's a Lord of the Rings fan.
I agree. Yeah, this movie's not getting great reviews, and the animation I've heard is not great in it because it like mixes 2D and 3D in a way that's a little odd. And I know he noted that, but yeah, he gave it a 2-star, so he He mentioned before we got on here there wouldn't be a whole lot for him to talk about anyways, but it's overly long. It's not the greatest animation, and it just feels like they are taking a few pages of the original content and just trying to make it into a long movie. So it didn't work out. But so if he comes back, maybe we'll give him more time to say more on that. But yeah, he does not give his thumbs up of approval, and he is like the Lord of the Rings guy. So we'll get on to Carry On, the movie both Cam and I saw, and then I'll do Kraven myself. Dive into that a little deeper. But kind of the consensus, I'd say, yeah, I'd definitely say the consensus, because the 3 movies released this week, Carry On, Kraven, and Lord of the Rings, War for the Rohirrim. This is the consensus best of them all. People really liking this movie. So it's a new Netflix original starring Taron Egerton, Sophia Carson, Daniel Deadweiler, Dean Norris, Jason Bateman. But yeah, so wait, there's someone in the cast named Michael Scott, which is funny, but like his actual name in real life is Michael Scott. Yeah. But every holiday season, millions travel safely by air. This Christmas will be different. An airport security officer races to outsmart a mysterious traveler, forcing him to let a dangerous item slip onto a Christmas Eve flight. It's directed by Jean Colette Serra, who has directed most recently Black Adam and The Orphan, Jungle Cruise. But also he's the director of like so many of the Liam Neeson. Like he did Nonstop, The Commuter, Unknown, Run All Night, like just the classic Liam Neeson type movies where it's just menacing Liam Neeson being a badass. Also directed The Shallows. Is that something?
Orphan is getting like Orphan's got like 4 or 5 sequels, but it doesn't look like they brought him back.
Yeah, unfortunate. But yeah, Black Adam was the last one we released before this, so interesting filmography. But now he's on Carry On, back to his Liam Neeson type roots, but this time Taron Egerton. Yeah, what were your thoughts on Carry On?
Yeah, I really liked Carry On. Kind of the same as you said with Rebel Ridge. I really liked the start of it more than I liked the ending of it. Not necessarily the same reasons, because of Rebel Ridge, it does not like become. Well, it kind of does actually become a bigger plot than what it starts as. So Carry On, just high level stuff. I like Taron Egerton in everything. I think he's fantastic in everything he does. Rocket Man, the Kingsman, Eddie the Eagle. I saw when it first came out, like in 2016 or something. And I thought it was fine. I can't remember anything about that movie since. Shout out him in Sing. I love him in Sing. And his I'm Still Standing rendition is better than Elton John's. There's my take for the week. Throw that in the worst takes category, but Bailey really likes the I'm Still Standing from Taron Egerton and Sing. So I love him. I loved Jason Bateman as the villain in this. Like,
did you know it was Jason Bateman when you started the movie? Like, did you know he was in this?
Yes, because I saw TikTok from Netflix that was like, "You're not ready for like villain Jason Bateman." So
I didn't notice him, and I thought when I heard only the voice, I thought it was Stanley Tucci the whole time.
Oh, really?
Not that was Jason Bateman. But
yeah, no, TikTok Netflix spoiled the movie for themselves, even though it's revealed like 5 minutes after you first hear the voice. But and then Sophia Carson, I was like, where do I know her from? I watched Purple Hearts last year.
Hell yeah, we both did.
just a mid like Netflix movie that was hilarious. It was
mid
like,
is very generous.
I gave it a 2.5, but it was like one. It was basically like, what if a woke person and a conservative got married or something like that. I vividly remember like the military was like saying like very conservative shit or something, and she was like, "I'm woke. This is wrong, but we love each other." It was just very funny. That took me back a couple years. Daniel Deadweiler is totally fine in this. Everyone in this is totally fine. But I do like Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman. But yeah, the movie's fun. It's easy. It's a movie. You know, go tell a coworker, hey, like Carry On Netflix. It is pretty good, and they'll think you're a god for what you can tell them. Because like I just recommended to my parents. I think it's a movie anyone would like. I was like, yeah, if you guys want something just to throw on, give it a try. You'll like it. Because I think most people will be a fan of this. Has the same Letterbox score, 3.2, as the Lord of the Rings movie that we just talked a little bit about, which I'm shocked by, just because I feel like the general reception that I've seen has been fairly positive for the most part. A lot of 3.5s, 3s, 4s ish. And I'm in that 3.5 area. I gave it a 72 out of 100. Like I said, it's a fine, easy watch. You know what you're going to get. It does. We'll dive into the plot a little bit more in spoilers, because I guess there are like small spoilers. But that's my general takeaways from it.
Yep, I give it a 3.5 as well. Like we mentioned with Lord of the Rings, like everyone who I follow is really giving it like 2 stars, really around there. Whereas this is like such a tight band of 3 to 4 star. Like I don't think anyone watch this and give it a 5 star and love it. I don't really think anyone can watch this and give it like a 2.5 or lower. Like it's just such a crowd pleaser movie. I think you can recommend it to anyone in your family and they're gonna have a good time with it.
Victoria gave it a 2. Not a.
Oh wow. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not everyone will love it.
I don't see if George rated it, but Victoria, hater.
Hater, man. Jeez, what's that about? I don't even know if George watched it, but so yeah, I liked it. It's clearly trying to do like a Die Hard, like in the sense that, you know, it's a airport thriller, crime stopping on Christmas, not really a Christmas movie, but kind of like takes place during Christmas, which we'll talk about a lot more in depth on Thursday in our draft of best Christmas movies that aren't actually Christmas movies. But
plays a lot of tunes. A lot of Christmas tunes, but other than that, nothing.
We talked about during Gladiator 2, like Paul Mescal might not be able to yell. I don't know if Taron Egerton can run. I think his running always looked very weird to me.
He's got a fun run in this. He does.
Have you ever seen the guy on TikTok who like runs in place? Like he's like, I think he kind of looked like that to me, where it felt like he was exerting more effort than his run, than his speed was. I don't know. His run it always made me chuckle. I don't know if it was his suit or like his security outfit or what, but I kind of love how this movie one of the funniest things about this movie is it's kind of like pro TSA. I mean, in the sense that like, I feel like
it's like not, never mind. But basically this guy's lifelong goal is to become an LA police officer, which if you're a police officer, fantastic. But just like the end, it's almost like the end of, no, it's not. But it's like the end of a superhero movie where he gets his badge. He finally has earned his badge. And it's the LAPD badge. It's just a funny thing that they make it seem like it's like a superhero like suit up that he gets.
But it's like, it almost felt like whoever wrote or directed this movie, like in their past life was a TSA agent. Cause it's like so pro to the sense where like, there's so many moments where like someone will be such an asshole to TSA and then someone else will come in and be like, hey man, they're just doing their job. Like take it easy on them. And there's just so many moments in this where it's like, they go out of their way to like, be like, hey guys, like I know that we're all annoyed to be here, but the TSA.
There are two specific moments where someone's yelling at a TSA agent and someone goes, hey, they're doing their job. It's like,
there's the one where that one guy's like yelling at them, and then there's like 5 army generals that look at him like shaking in disapproval. Like
which it's not a wrong like narrative to make.
No, not
don't
at
yell
all.
at TSA agents and don't yell at anyone for that matter. But it's just you're not wrong. It's a very pro TSA movie that's like, all right, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But we'll get into. I mean, there's not a whole lot to spoil, but I'm going to throw the spoiler tag on because we're going to start talking about just the way the movie goes. But again, I think it's a very inoffensive movie. I think it's one you can recommend to everyone, have a good time. Like Cam mentioned, it's a great cast who are all fine in this movie. Like the actual star power in this movie is very high, but what they do is nothing near their best.
I like that. I appreciate that Jason Bateman got this role, and for 95% of the movie, he's either in Taron Egerton's ear, basically just talking. So he's ADRing it, so he's not actually there, or he's either sitting down, sometimes off like looking off screen. So it could or could not be Jason Bateman, but also he's just walking. He doesn't like they asked him, hey, could you come? I guarantee he filmed for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
came to an airport or location that they filmed. Walked down a hallway, walked down another hallway, read a couple lines, and they didn't even ask him to put on like a suit or anything. He's wearing what I'm wearing right now. He's got a hat on, he's got a sweatshirt on, he's got a little jacket over it, and he's just vibing right there, man. So
Mhm.
yeah, I appreciate what they asked of Jason Bateman in this. They were like, can you please just come to studio for a day or two, man, and you'll be done.
Yeah.
Here's your $1 million.
Remember when we let you do 5 seasons of your passion project Ozark?
Yeah.
Put us a solid here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we'll talk about the actual movie now. So basically, like Cam kind of mentioned, Taron Egerton, his dream was to be a police officer, but he failed. You kind of find out he failed because he like lied to his like.
Did they ever once mention what he lied about?
Like, I think Jason Bateman, like immediately when he said like he lied in his lie detector, Jason Bateman was like, "Oh, like your father was a criminal and you were like lying about it or something." So I don't know if he ever confirmed or denied. But
I don't think they. I'm not going to give it another watch anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't think. Someone tell me in the comments, please. I don't think he says 3 or 4 times. Do you want to know what I lied about on the polygraph? And Jason Bateman replies, no. And then you never learn what he lied about. Like, I don't think so. I
don't know if we ever really find out, but basically he works as a TSA agent. And what's funny is the movie starts with basically his wife or fiance or something. They're about to have a kid. And she's kind of like, I want you to make something of yourself with your life. She says it in the form of go try to be a police officer again, which he thinks is like, oh, make more money. But she's actually like, no, it's actually because like that's just when you were passionate and had fire in you. Now you're just kind of phoning it in. So, but he thinks it's because of money. So he goes into work that day and tries to get his act together because he obviously loves his wife. He's a kid coming. And he asks Dean Norris, Hank from Breaking Bad is the head
playing
guy.
Hank again, by the way.
He asked him for a raise. And I love how like the scene is trying to make you think like Dean Norris is being like unreasonable by like denying his raise and being an asshole. But like this dude like the most important day of the year, he shows up late for work, late for their meetings. He's done not like the last 2 years, basically completely phoned it in. And the movie's supposed to make you feel bad for like Dean Norris being like, fuck you, man. I'm not giving you a raise. Like you literally showed up late today and you haven't done shit the last 2 years. And then he's like, oh, you're being such a dick. I'm like, nah, I mean, kind of got to earn a raise.
In the real workplace, like that's exactly how the conversation would have gone. He gets a chance, right? He gets an opportunity to do this TSA job versus what he's normally the wand guy or something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is kind of what would happen, man. This is just.
I mean, in real life, you wouldn't even get the opportunity to talk to him. Like, if you like, basically, if you're like a salesman, you have like a big client meeting and you show up 30 minutes late for it, and then try and talk to you about, like, hey man, can you pay me more money? They're gonna be like, get out of here, man.
Yeah.
So he gets a trial run. They basically say like, let's try it out. Let's see if you got the chops, and if you do well enough, we will give you that raise. So he gets to be the guy behind the computer that kind of watches as the bags go through the carry-on bags go through the X-ray detector, and he kind of gives like the pass or no pass. And then that's when Jason Bateman and his crew hone in on him, and they kind of scoped out this airport for a while. They realized this guy wasn't supposed to be working, but now he is. They realize he's kind of a newbie, hasn't had much experience, kind of a loser at the TSA group. It's like, he's the perfect one to target for our operation here. And that's where it begins. This first half of the movie is really Jason Bateman in his ear, talking to him. And basically we find out there's a few guys who are going to be coming through with bags that have various bad things on it, ranging from bombs to nerve agent gases to other items that obviously TSA would flag. And they basically threatened him by having his coworker's family held hostage because it's supposed to not be him. And then you realize they have a sniper on his wife as well, who works in airport operations, who works at the airport. So all kinds of threats being made to make sure that he just lets through the bags that are not supposed to be let through. And it's just kind of like a high pressure cooker first hour where trying to stop him. And then Taron Egerton's trying to slyly try and get people aware of the situation. But every time Jason Bateman catches him, he kind of tips off the security guard using a UV pen or something that you can only look at through a UV light, who then tries to go and get help. But Jason Bateman makes the dude literally have a heart attack and die because this guy, he used some nerve agent to kill him. Just wild back and forth. But that's kind of mostly the movie is they just kind of are hunting between the two. Jason Bateman trying to get these bags through, Taron Egerton trying to stop him. And you ultimately get to a point where Jason Bateman gets through, he succeeds, he gets onto the flight with all of his bags of bad stuff. Taron Egerton's able to get onto that flight with him to try and ultimately stop him. They have the kind of big bad final boss fight in the cargo hold of the ship, which kind of a fun thing to know. I didn't realize that I don't know if it's true, but I guess pilots have like cameras in the cargo bin because they basically could see that there's a gunfight going on. The pilots like look down at their security cameras, like, oh, we got danger in the cargo hold. We gotta go emergency land. Then the kind of just ends the fight by trapping Jason Bateman in some little corridor, unleashing the nerve gas on him and killing him. So it kind of saves the day, saves the flight. Gets out, and then, you know, like Cam said, the superhero moment, he gets promoted to be the bag checker at TSA or whatever he is. And yeah, it's kind of the movie. Again, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just a fun little thriller of Jason Bateman versus Taron Egerton in a battle of wits, and Taron Egerton trying to get all this stuff past him and try and get him caught without, you know, getting any of these hostages killed. I guess another big thing, you realize that a lot of people helping Jason Bateman aren't actually part of his crew. They're also other people that are being threatened and have people that are loved ones of them being held hostage. So that's like an interesting wrinkle, is like, you can't just kill his people that he's being helping him, because they're not really actually villains either. They're just other normal guys like Taron Egerton who are getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, I like that. I did like that. Like, so you meet a second guy who's also held hostage, basically, in the same exact like airport, and so actually it's the person who's bringing the bag through TSA is also a guy who just kind of got tapped, and they have his husband hostage. So I liked that. I didn't love at the end, it basically, like, it goes from this like fun like battle of wits to almost this just like dumb straight up action movie, and that's where it kind of lost me a little bit. I think obviously you need some sort of aspect of that to make it compelling to more a grander audience, right? You need a little bit of action in there, but I liked that Taron Egerton was going through all these different ways of getting his phone back, getting someone else's keypad or whatever it was, scanner, going through these different motions to make sure like this person got randomly searched, just stuff like that. I liked the first hour and 15 minutes of this movie, and the last like 30 minutes kind of lost on me, especially when like it becomes this like Daniel Deadweiler's character comes in, it becomes this CIA operation or FBI operation, whatever it is, because this congresswoman is on the plane, and they want to make it look like it's the Russians, even though it's the American people trying to take her out so that they can get a bill passed, but they're going to kill 250 people. And then basically Taron Egerton character has defused the bomb earlier in the movie. So he's like, hey, don't stop this plane. I can get on the plane and defuse the bomb. I had no idea you could get to the cargo from the plane. Learned that during this thing, because Taron Egerton, while the plane's taking off, gets in the cargo hold, which was a cool moment, I guess. This is a episode of me just trying to breathe. Sorry. But he gets into the cargo hold. Then Patrick Bateman's character, who's on the plane, realizes he's under there, is able to get to the cargo hold from inside the plane when they're in the air. Didn't know you could do that. And then they have an end fight, and basically he vacuum seals him in a room with this fucking with this corrosive that's supposed to kill the entire plane, but it's just one person in a very small room, so his face starts to melt. It's kind of a brutal death for sure. But I didn't love when it became like less of a espionage, like trying to outwit someone, and became more of an action movie. And I didn't love that they like stopped the plane, then he got on it and started the plane, and like this FBI agent like randomly trusted this woman. And I know it's like movie magic, movie agenda, whatever, but I just didn't love the ending. That took it from like a 4 to a 5 for me. Or sorry, from a 4 to a 3.5. Like I enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, honestly, very similar to one of the other movies this director made, which is Nonstop, which I saw in theaters back when it came out, and I liked it at the time. Probably one of those that if I rewatched now, I probably would not like as much. But 10 years ago, I really liked it. But yeah, it's similar. Like Liam Neeson's on a plane. There's a terrorist on the plane who doesn't know who it is. He's getting like text messages from them, if I'm remembering correctly, trying to figure out who it is, and he's trying to like which passenger is doing it. I like it a lot more when it's doing the more espionage stuff like that, as opposed to the actual just final crime, big action end sequence. But 3.5 for both of us. I guess Victoria doesn't like it, but we think it'll be a crowd pleaser for most people. So I'd recommend Carry On this holiday season. If you're with the family, need something to throw on. Good one that everyone should like.
I think it's pretty rare that people listening to this podcast at this point are 5 movies a year people, or 10 movies a year people. I think that's pretty rare. But if you have any friends that are 5-10 movies a year people, this will be one of them, and they'll enjoy it. Like it doesn't have to always be the most perfect movie. They'll like this, and it's a good, easy watch.
Yep. Well, that is our review of Carry On. We'll now get into Kraven the Hunter. So I'll take this one away. So Kraven the Hunter. Villains aren't born, they're made. Kraven Kravinoff's complex relationship with his ruthless gangster father, Nikolai, starts him down a path of vengeance with brutal consequences, motivating him to become not only the greatest hunter in the world, but also one of its most feared. Now, this was initially reported to be Sony's last movie. Like, it was like the Sonyverse is going to be ending. But then the report came out a day later saying, actually, not so fast. It's not going to be ending. So who knows? Is this the last Sonyverse movie? Maybe, maybe not. There was no post-credit scene, or maybe there was one after all the credits. But, normally there's like the initial quick credits, post-credit scene, then there's like the full credits, and then the final end credit scene. Once we realized there was no initial post-credit scene and the actual credits kind of started rolling, we just left. So I don't know if there was one way after it, but we kind of assumed, because at the time when we saw it on Thursday, Riley and they said Sonyverse was ending. So I just kind of assumed like they probably just canceled and cut whatever the end credit scene was, building towards something new, because they're like, whatever, screw this. But it's a frustrating movie, which is kind of the best way you could categorize every Sonyverse movie, because there's a lot here that has a lot of potential. Like this, visually, I think looks pretty good. I think actually the visual effects are pretty shoddy. Of the actual, I saw a lot of discourse about the Rhino not looking good. I don't agree. I mean, what else were you expecting? But I mean, in terms of like the super speed or the super climbing, didn't think that looked the greatest. But I thought the actual way this movie was shot looked great. Like, it's by the same cinematographer, Ben Davis, who did Banshees of Inisherin. I mean, he also has tons of comic book movie experience on the Marvel side with, he did Captain Marvel, he did Age of Ultron. But I mean, this is a guy who's doing Banshees of Inisherin. He clearly has some ability to shoot films, and I think his movie looks good. But again, this movie, the biggest issue, which I think I kind of alluded to when I say what I've been watching this week, there's like 12 storylines going on here, and it's so directionless and aimless. And it's clearly trying to like catch up with Venom, to the fact where it's like they're trying to have like 3 movies worth of content into one movie here, which just completely makes it so muddled and so blah. Like, it's just like there'd be a sequence of greatness that I really enjoy, and then just immediately is cut down by something so stupid. And that's just, again, kind of the story of a lot of the Sonyverse. The cast is surprisingly way more stacked than I thought. Again, I kind of avoid trailers decently, so I didn't realize. I mean, I knew Aaron Taylor Johnson and Russell Crowe were in this, but I did not know that Fred Hetchinger, shout out him, my favorite guy from Gladiator 2, did not know that he was going to be the brother in this, the Kravinoff brother. Ariana DeBose did not know she was going to be joining the superhero universe. She's a Calypso in this, so I didn't expect that either. And then Christopher Abbott, love him, one of the greatest actors we have working today, who always picks such interesting projects, is now in Kraven the Hunter, stuffing his bags a bit. So shout out you. I'm never against, actors stuffing their pockets a bit. But yeah, weirdly stacked cast of some very talented actors that just didn't really come together to do much. And again, like Christopher Abbott's character specifically is the foreigner, really weird inclusion. Like, he's also trying to get Aaron Taylor Johnson and take him down, just like the whatever this like rival gang is. I don't even know who these. I guess well, let's see. The Rhino, yeah, exactly. Like the Rhino, Alessandro Nivola, the Rhino and the Foreigner are both trying to get Kraven, and they're like working together because they have the same goal, but they're like so weirdly not. I don't know. I just feel like their team up could have been done better. I feel like really Christopher Abbott's character, the Foreigner, had no business being in this movie. I feel like it should have just been like a Kraven versus Rhino movie, because again, Christopher Abbott's character just weirdly comes in like an hour in, gets taken out, and then you have at the very end, Dimitri, his brother, played by Fred Hetchinger, is revealed to be the Chameleon, and then that's like the final 10 minutes of the movie. And you kind of, Russell Crowe's no longer in power, but Fred Hetchinger, he's been scared of his dad his whole life, but then Kraven finally solves all those issues, and Fred Hetchinger, the Chameleon's like, you know what? Nope, I'm the power vacuum now. Rhino's gone, Dad's gone. Like, someone's got to be, the guy for this arms dealing business. So he kind of takes control of the reins, and he's like, this is my time to shine and become the big arms dealer. So again, you get an origin story for Kraven. You have his relationship with his dad, which is a lot of the movie, and then the butting of heads there. I just really spoiler tags on. We're not really spoiling much, but they're butting heads there. Then you get Christopher Abbott, the foreigner, in for like who again could be his own other movie. That should have been like the sequel to this. But the primary thing should have been Aaron Taylor Johnson versus the Rhino. That's movie number 1. Movie number 2 should have been the foreigner. Movie number 3 should have been introducing the chameleon, and that's when Russell Crowe dies and there's a power vacuum there. I don't know. It just felt like they were packing so much into this. But at the same time, even though there's so much packed in here, this movie is 2 hours and 7 minutes long, and it's still dragged. Like, this movie drags, which is kind of crazy for having that many storylines. Calypso too, like clearly they're trying to set her up for something, but she's kind of really not much in this movie other than a potion healer plus a legal defendant who's able to dig up dirt on people. Just a lot of characters introduced for a movie number 1. Whereas when you look at stuff like, Venom or even, Morbius, like they're a lot more like trying to stick to just one minimal story. But, like I said, I think it looks good visually. I think the visual effects are a little shoddy. There's fun moments. I really like the helicopter scene where he's trying to hunt on the helicopter. But it starts out with him basically getting himself into prison. And I guess we're kind of spoiling now. We'll just throw that back on. Starts off with him getting himself into prison, basically to hunt down someone who's on his list and kill him and then escape prison. So he gets himself into prison just so he can get access to this high stakes prisoner and kill him and then move on. And then you kind of realize that Kraven is this guy who's Kraven the Hunter, has a list of all these people that have done despicable things, mostly related to the type of business his dad is in as an arms dealer. And he's going to kill them all. And once you get on his list, there's no getting off the list. You're going to die no matter what. But then what happens is after he does that and escapes, there's a Mad Max sequence where they literally go into the storm, but it's a blizzard as opposed to a desert. So yeah, literally copies the Mad Max into the storm. But then what happens is it says like 16 years earlier, and we go back to when they were kids. At that moment, Riley turns to me. She's like, I hate when movies do this. I hate when you have like a whole scene and then it's like 16 years earlier and it gives you a whole backstory. And this one's not a quick flashback either. This is like 40 minutes of the movie then goes back to them as kids with their father. And they go on this hunting trip. Basically, their mother ends up dying, and you kind of realize that she goes crazy. They kind of mention it. There's a couple flashbacks with it, but it seems like basically she started having some mental health issues, and their dad left her basically out to hang. Russell Crowe left her out to dry. She's dead, and he wants his sons to then, become men. So they go on this hunting trip, and their goal is to kill this elusive lion who is like the big bad, never been killed, kills a lot of hunters that come out their way. And Kraven, Aaron Taylor Johnson, comes face to face with it. And rather than he was supposed to protect his brother, Fred Hetchinger is kind of like more of a, I don't want to say wuss, but he's not as manly as Aaron Taylor Johnson's character was. Dimitri is not as up to snuff as Sergei. So he doesn't save his brother. Well, I guess he technically does, but the lion gets him, completely gnarls him up, like just brutal, gory. That lion kills him pretty much, like he literally does, because he does die for a couple minutes. But some of the lion's blood gets mixed in with his blood. Calypso comes in with this potion that we find in the backstory of her as well, that is like going to save someone, and it's going to be very clear when you're supposed to use it. She sees him in the woods of Africa and pours the potion in his mouth. Aaron Taylor Johnson, Sergei, dies, comes back to life. And now he's got these powers that make him Kraven the Hunter. And then he kind of just abandons his house, screws off to Eastern Siberia, and spends his whole life just in this nice little hut. It looks very cozy. I would love to stay there as an Airbnb, and has his list and wants to go out and kill people. So then we kind of get to the rest of the movie where you meet the Rhino, who's also was on that hunting trip with them. You realize he's kind of just like a dweeb in the sense that like his father did not respect him whatsoever. Russell Crowe, Nikolai, did not respect him, kind of pushed him around, and he was tired of being pushed around, tired of being underestimated. So he met with a doctor in New York to give him like the rhino powers, which I don't know, is that supposed to be a link to Dr. Connors, like the lizard? I'd imagine that's the case. But he gets these rhino powers that if he doesn't have like this feed bag on him, then he literally becomes a rhino, straight up. Like I'm sure you've seen the images online. So he's trying to hunt down the Kravenovs and take over that business. And then you have the other brother, so the Kraven obviously trying to take over their business. Then you have Christopher Abbott, who comes in, again, the foreigner, who has like this weird like mind control ability to stop time and uses like 1-2 and then puts people in a trance. He's able to move around super fast. It reminded me a lot of Click, where if you pause, Adam Sandler would like pause David Hasselhoff character as his boss, just beat the crap out of him, then press play, and then they're like, oh shit, I feel like I just got my head bashed in. That's basically what his character is. And yeah, it's them hunting down the Kravenovs, trying to take over the power of their arms dealing business. And then ultimately you get this final battle of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven in the middle of Siberia. And you have these people coming after him in the woods, and they have this big fight. Kraven ends up winning the fight. And a very cool, like one thing I can't emphasize enough is like the Kraven kills in this movie are insane. Like the blood, the gore, how vicious they are ridiculous. Like this movie is like almost a borderline slasher with some of the creative kills that they get into it, and how bloody and gory they are. So definitely way cooler than stuff you see in Marvel, like the MCU, in terms of like how much they lean into like, what is this movie rated? Because I don't remember them swearing a whole lot, but this is like a gory movie. I wouldn't be surprised if it's rated R. It is rated R. So yeah, I was not surprised by that, because it is a very violent movie. And the final battle I thought was cool with the Kraven versus Rhino. I think they leaned into the kitschiness in a perfect amount, and it was a very fun final battle. And then, all those issues get solved. And then, like I kind of mentioned earlier, he goes back, he meets his father, who's on a hunt, leaves his father out to die, to get killed. So at this point, his dad's dead. All of his kind of opponents in the arms dealing business are dead. And it's just him and his brother. And his brother, as Chameleon, has used that power to be a singer, to basically he can impersonate Harry Styles. You hear him impersonate all these other artists because he can just copy their voice 1-to-1. He can be whoever he wants to be as a chameleon. So he's been using that mainly just to be one of the best performers possible. But now he's going to realize that he can use his powers to a lot more capabilities. So he shows that off to his brother, Sergey. He's like, look at what I can do. I'm the chameleon now. I can copy you. I can imitate you. I can imitate anyone. Very funny though when he imitates Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like he can't change his height, I guess. So he's just like a small version of Aaron Taylor Johnson, because Fred Hetchinger is still just like a small little man. But movie ends and when you think everything's gonna be good because the brothers can just live on, and then they don't have a father or mother, but they're gonna be happy and live together, and just not have to worry about the arms dealing business. But nope. The chameleon wants to be the new head honcho, and that kind of sets up what the next movie would be, probably the chameleon versus Kraven. You also get some flash forwards, so maybe potential Spider-Man tie-in. So if this is the end of the Sonyverse, leaves off some potential storylines that could have went on that they're just going to kill in his tracks. But if they are going to continue going, clearly there's stuff to go off on here. But again, just to wrap it up, movie's a mess. There's like 12 different storylines going on at once. I really like the vibe. I really loved Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he's great as this role. I think it's just like perfect casting choice. But it's just everything I liked about this immediately got counteracted by something I really didn't like about this. And I wanted it to work out better, but it didn't, just because we were excited for it. It's 2.5 for me. Riley gave it a 2-star for what that counts. So we weren't high on it. We're definitely more Venom fans. We are Kraven the Hunter fans, but Aaron Taylor Johnson did great. I think there's stuff here to like. It's not the worst movie ever. It's definitely not the worst Sonyverse movie ever, for sure. Like if anyone says the worst Sonyverse movie, that's crazy. I definitely have Morbius below it, Madam Web below it, and at least 1 or 2 of the Venoms. So it's one of the better ones, but that's not saying much for the Sonyverse. So for me, 2.5 out of 5. But yeah, we'll try and get Cam back in here now to continue on with the rest of the episode. All right, quick pause is done. I got a hot dog mug full of apple cider, some hot apple cider for the throat. Been dying over here a little bit, but we're making it through. But yeah, we're gonna get on to now. We'll talk about Golden Globe nominees. So we got those released on Monday. So let's go through these. I'm gonna share my screen and we'll just go through each category. So let me pull this up here. All right, so we'll just start at the top and scroll way down and Sarah thoughts. So first up, Best Motion Picture Drama. We have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, September 5, and The Brutalist. Dune Part 2 did not get a ton of Golden Globe nominees whatsoever, but it was one of the few ones that it did. I think that's probably the only one you've seen out of this bunch, right?
Seen Conclave. Conclave's good. I don't need to see the rest to know that Dune Part 2 is better. Just straight up, Dune Part 2 is one of the best movies ever. It should win everything. I'll be the George Carmi of this week. I think 2 Golden Globes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. deserves basically everything. It's bullshit. The Academy hates us. Hates
Not the
hates real
Academy. The
movies.
Academy's Oscars.
No, I know, but I don't know who the Golden Globes are, so I'm going with the Academy. They hate real movie watchers. But yeah, haven't seen any of these. I don't think any of them are even out to the general public yet, if I'm not wrong.
Conclave is, but yeah, you're correct.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, well, we also had Critics' Choice Awards come out this week, which gave Dune a lot of love. So I don't know what overlaps more with the Oscars, but we'll have to see, because basically one
shout
award's
out the
body.
critics.
Yeah, shout out the critics. But A Complete Unknown, excited for Timothy Chalamet, anything he's in. Conclave, really like. Dune Part 2, I think, is the best I've seen out of these. Nickel Boys, I know George really didn't like, but I'm very, very excited for that movie. September 5, I think it'll be a Carry On Plus is my prediction. I think it's going to be a 4-star movie your dad's going to love, but I don't think it's going to be anything that'll knock my feet off. And The Brutalist is probably my most anticipated movie, just because you've heard so many insane and incredible things for it. So again, not much to say there. But Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, got A Real Pain, Honora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, The Substance, and Wicked. I have seen Honora, Challengers, The Substance, and Wicked. So I've not seen Real Pain yet, and I've not seen Amelia Perez yet. But Amelia Perez, as we'll talk about, it leads the way.
Isn't that on Netflix?
It is on Netflix. And
yeah, I haven't seen it either. I don't have much interest, I'll admit.
It's the most nominated film at the Golden Globes with 10. So it's one of those that, like, one way or another, I will be watching it before award season comes, just because it's going to be nominated for so much. Like, I got to just see what it's all about. A Real Pain, I'm really excited for. I know George and Seth reviewed it, and they gave it kind of like a 3.5. Like, it's fine. But of these here, my favorite's definitely The Challengers, obviously. Honora, I have on my list to rewatch again before award season, because Mikey Madison's obviously one of the favorites for Best Actress. I want to make sure I'm on the same page there. But that's what I'd have as my number 2. Then The Substance is basically tied with it, and then I'd have Wicked there. But you've only seen Challengers and Wicked here, right?
Yep. Challengers can take the win on this one for Cam. I won't see The Substance. I'll probably get around to Amelia Perez. If they put a Nora or The Real Play on anything, I'll get around to those. I'm not going to watch The Substance. I'm just going to tell you all right now.
Why? Because it's scary or gross or what?
Yeah. Not a horror body horror guy.
Yeah.
Just don't need to watch it. Gotta be honest with myself and honest with the community.
Yeah, as far as horror goes, definitely not scary, but as far as body horror go, definitely, yeah, you want to avoid that if you're a big anti-body horror guy. Animated picture, we got Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Moana 2, The Wild Robot, and Wallace and Gromit: The Vengeance Most Foul. I've only seen Flow and Inside Out 2. I really want to see Memoir of a Snail. Super excited to see that one. Don't really know if it's available anywhere. Moana 2, was going to see it. Just
you haven't seen The Wild Robot yet? I remember.
I'm not. I'm going to see. I mean, I'm seeing it ASAP. Like, it's on my, critical list of what to watch before the year ends. So, yeah, I remember you reviewed it. So I guess you've seen The Wild Robot and Inside Out 2, or have you only seen The Wild Robot?
No, I've seen Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, of course. And then I'm bummed I haven't seen Moana 2 yet. I don't think Wallace and Gromit comes out here till like January, right?
Yeah, January 3rd.
Utter woke nonsense that it can be in this last year's polls, but it's fine.
I think it's because it comes out in the UK like a week early.
I'm sure I'll get around to most of these eventually. You know me, big animated guy. I'll get around to them eventually.
Yep. I think Flow is a really beautiful movie, gorgeous animation. Don't know if it has enough to win it, but if it gets nominated for an Oscar, that'd be great. Memoir of a Snail, haven't seen it yet, but that's kind of the one I'm pulling for. I think that's the one I'm going to be most excited to see. The Wild Robot, I feel like has got to be one of the favorites as well. I really don't see like Inside Out 2, Moana 2 winning, but we'll see. Best foreign film, non-English language. We got All We Imagine Is Light, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, The Girl with the Needle, The Seed of Sacred Fig, and Vermiglio. I have not seen any of these, but Amelia Perez obviously is on my list. The Seed of Sacred Fig's on my list as well, but I might have to add some of these on here as well. But best female
the Golden Globes, in my opinion, and I don't know. I know we talk award shows a lot. The Golden Globes are I don't even know how to characterize them. They're a random, like, we'll go to golf here. If the Masters is the Oscars, the Golden Globes, in my opinion, they're a random. They're the John Deere Classic.
Oh wow, you're not even giving them one of the majors.
Not even giving them a major. I don't know if there are any other majors in award seasons. I don't care about any of these awards. But the Oscars, I'll give a shit about, because that's the big thing. That's the Masters.
Yeah.
That's what you need. No, they're the John Deere Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the interesting thing about the Golden Globes, they give 6 nominees for each category as opposed to 5. So it's like, who's going to be the one that's going to be chopped off? I mean, they don't have to always be the same as the Oscars, but best performance, by a female actor in a motion picture drama. Got Angelina Jolie for Maria. I know George is very high on that. Fernando Torres for I'm Still Here. Kate Winslet for Lee, who seems like this year's version of Andrea Riseborough, where like no one in the actual world like cares about that performance, but she has all the industry people pumping her up. Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl, Pamela Anderson for Last Showgirl, and Tilda Swinton for The Room Next Door, which I don't even know what that movie is. I know she's in Joshua Oppenheimer's movie, but is that what that one is? I don't know. The Room Next Door. No, I don't know what this is. I meant Pedro Almodovar. Okay. Then we got male actor Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Daniel Craig Queer, Ralph Fiennes, Conclave, Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice, and Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown. So kind of a really stacked category here. Obviously, Adrian Brody's won an Oscar before. Love Daniel Craig getting nominated here. Absolutely deserves it. Ray Fiennes as well. At one point in time was the favorite for the Oscar. Don't know where he's at now. Sebastian Stan, love to see him get nominated as well. And Timothée Chalamet, kind of a lock. And Coleman Domingo, I haven't. Sing Sing's had like the weirdest like release schedule ever. Like came out and then they just like pulled it back and now it's going to come out again. But this is a stacked lineup here. Can't wait to see where that goes and where it goes to the Oscar, who ends up getting nominated. But then we have the musical comedy side. Okay, Amy Adams for Night Bitch, which is just can't imagine that getting Oscar nominated, but we'll see. Cynthia Erivo.
I have not seen good things on Night Bitch.
No, I have not either. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Awesome. Absolutely deserves it. Absolutely deserves an Oscar nomination as well. Same thing for Demi Moore in The Substance. Would love to see her get nominated as well. Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez. Probably will, just because Amelia Perez is kind of the darling of everything. Mikey Madison for Nora and Zendaya for Challengers. So this is tough because only 5 actresses can get nominated for an Oscar. And just looking at the musical comedy category, I feel like Cynthia Erivo, Demi Moore, Mikey Madison are probably locks. And I'd like to say probably Carla Sofia Gascon is as well. So that only leaves room for one on drama. I guess probably Angelina Jolie. So I guess that kind of works out. I haven't seen a ton of talk about any of these performances.
I don't know your thoughts on it. I think Baby Girl's going to suck.
Yeah, it's by the same director as Bodies. So does that make
I like
it
Bodies. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it does not look fun. It doesn't look appealing to me in any way. I think it's going to stink.
Yeah, very much looks like Wattpad type material. Movie. Yeah, we'll see if I can get. I'm trying to get Riley to go see Nosferatu with me, but every time she sees the trailer, she's like, "Nope, too scary. Sorry."
Yeah.
Then we got male actor in a motion picture, comedy, musical, Gabriel Bell for Saturday Night. Awesome, seeing him get recognized. You know, he's not going to be winning. He's not going to be Oscar nominated, but like to see him getting recognized here. Glenn Powell for Hitman. I'm sure you're happy about that.
Win. I love it.
Hugh Grant for Heretic. You know, if he's getting like weird momentum for maybe getting like Oscar nominated too, which would be kind of crazy. But if this is like what has to be done in order to start getting horror movies to get more recognition, then sure, fine, whatever. Jesse Eisenberg for Real Pain. Jesse Plemons for Kinds of Kindness, and Sebastian Stan again for Different Man. So double nominee Sebastian Stan. Again, pretty stacked category here with some big names as well as some newcomers. Gabriel Bell and Glenn Powell, not as much of a newcomer, but you know, compared to these other guys, more of a newcomer. Then we have supporting actress. We got Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini, Conclave, Margaret Qualley, The Substance, Selena Gomez, Amelia Perez, Zoe Saldana, Amelia Perez. So we get, you know, the Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, two both being nominated here in this category. Really likes Ariana Grande here. I haven't seen Isabella Rossellini did fine in Conclave. Don't see it being award worthy. Margaret Qualley, I would say, is award worthy. Obviously, very excited for The Brutalist. And then I need to see Amelia Perez for the other two. And then we have supporting role for actors. We have Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. We have Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown. We have Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. We have Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, and Yura Borisov for Honora. Guy Pearce's picture for this is like straight up like model type material.
Yeah.
That's like a Calvin Klein, like, or like a cologne ad right there.
Why Denzel not even get a headshot?
They just gave Denzel a picture. I love it though.
I gotta assume he's got a headshot somewhere out there, man. But
yeah, and then Yura Borisov is like a mugshot.
Yeah, exactly.
And not framed well.
Welcome back, Secession. Jeremy Strong versus Kieran Culkin.
Yep, love it. But again, very, very, very strong lineup here. Then we have Best Director, Brady Corbet and Coralie Fargay. This is the official Golden Globes website. This isn't like it's like a random media publication, but they don't even get pictures. Brady Corbet and Coralie Fargay.
Nominated, no picture.
No picture. Right. Edward Berger for Conclave. Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez. Payal Kapadia for All We Imagine Is Light, and Sean Baker for Nora. I think Best Director this year is probably coming down to Brady Corbet or Sean Baker, but you know, it's always one of those where as the months go by, there's always dark horses to start pulling ahead. Then screenplay, Substance, and The Brutalist. Again, no pictures here. Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, Conclave, and Honora. So basically the same people, except we're swapping a Real Pain in for All We Imagine Is Light. But other than that, the same directors as for screenplay. Score, Doom Part 2, this is when it picks up its second nomination alongside Emilia Perez, The Brutalist, The Wild Robot, Challengers, and Conclave. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Doom Part 2 and Challengers scores. Conclave, fan of that score as well.
Might take it. Challengers is good.
I would be happy with that. Original song, Challengers getting nominated again for Compress Repress. Better Man. Have you started seeing those clips on your Twitter page? Of the Better Man
I don't get it. I don't entirely get it. I've seen the trailer. And I saw someone say that it's like a really good biopic. I appreciate the intrigue of it and like the difference. Like, yeah, you're making a biopic where you're a monkey, and I get that. Like, there's a moment where Robbie Williams in the trailer says he's always felt different and always felt like de-evolutionized or something. I'm not all the way sold on the monkey biopic, but better. I don't know.
Comes out like around Christmas, so I'll definitely tune in.
Also, I've never heard of Robbie Williams before.
Neither am I. It's a very much not an American artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Beautiful That Way. So Miley Cyrus is one who sings this. So, we're getting the Disney Channel stars are all getting nominated for Golden Globes.
Oh yeah.
And then Cam's favorite category, Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement.
I've seen
Alien
these.
Romulus, Beetlejuice, Deadpool, Wolverine, Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, Twisters, and Wicked.
Give it to Twisters. Twisters are wicked. Give it to Twisters or Wicked.
Wicked. Yeah. Which
Wicked.
one? So that's where you want to give it to. Yeah, this is your category, so I'll let you pick.
Yeah, I mean, I would give it to Twisters right now, I think. But Wicked is very fun as well. Deadpool and Wolverine, I just rewatched. I don't know. Was I on did I talk that last week? Like I rewatched.
No, we didn't.
No. Okay. So I forgot about it earlier in the episode. I rewatched Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a bad movie that I got caught up in the hype of. And I think I said this after the review. Like I enjoyed the theater experience. I enjoyed the fan, the crowd. None of the jokes hit when you're not in the theater. I like Hugh Jackman in the role still, but it's a bad movie. Bad movie.
Last year was the first year they had the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award, and it gave it to Barbie. So like everyone's kind of wondering, like, is the criteria just whatever made the, like, what's the point of nominees if it's just like the most money made wins? And out of this, I think Inside Out 2 is probably the highest grossing one here. I don't know. What is the box office at these days? 2024 box office.
Inside Out 2 is the highest grossing.
Yeah.
It's
my God. 1.7 billion? What?
Yeah.
So Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously number 2, 1.4. But yeah,
I think it's the highest grossing animated movie of all time now.
That's crazy. So basically, if they do what they did last year, then Inside Out 2 should win this award. But we'll see. And then we'll very quickly go through TV.
That's very funny. I forgot that they just gave it to the highest grossing. Weird.
Yeah. TV series. Let's see if there's anything to talk about here. I mean, again, Squid Game 2, not even out yet. Shogun. Have you watched any of these? I've not watched any of these.
Not a TV.
I know. Shout out Doug Holler. I know he's a huge Jackal fan.
Cowards. Put in Arcane. I did finish Arcane. Good show.
Nice. Hell yeah. The Bear. How about let's go The Bear for best musical or comedy TV show. Sure. Only Murders in the Building. Absolutely fake show. Riley and I tried to watch a season or 2 of it. I think it's the worst. It's just awful.
Never. No one's ever watched that show. I've never met someone.
I don't know who's watching that show. Did you watch Baby Reindeer, or was that just Seth and George?
I watched Baby Reindeer. It's good. It's good. Not great.
The Penguin.
Good.
The Penguin's probably what
better.
You're going to want there.
Penguin's better.
Female actress. You got Emma Darcy for House of the Dragon. That's the only one I've watched here.
Yep.
Best actor in a TV show. You got.
I don't believe Landman's real, but people love it. It's in the Yellowstone universe. People love Landman, but I'm out. That universe is not real. I watched half of Presumed Innocence. No clue why we stopped. Just never. It was a week-to-week episode, and 1 week we missed. Never went back, but it was a good show. It was really good show.
I saw a tweet that went viral like the other day. It was like some of the greatest working directors and actors working today have Apple TV Plus TV shows that no one knows about.
Sorry,
Jake Gyllenhaal. Would love to see you win. I have a feeling gut feel. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch like any TV. But gut feeling, I feel like Shogun might be like the sweeper this year.
Yeah, because Shogun was supposed to be like one season, got all the praise. Now they're just bringing it back for 1 million more. So it might just win everything.
And then we got, TV for musical or comedy actress. Got Ayo Edebiri. You got Kirsten Bell in here, Kenta Brunson, Selena Gomez, Catherine Hahn.
Every once in a while. But
look at MCU, Catherine Hahn getting nominated for Agatha all along.
Let's go.
But again, based on gut feel, based on how I feel like these normally go for TV, I feel like it's gonna be Ayo or Kinta. I feel like those are like the two, like the Bear and Abbott Elementary usually seem to be the ones that clean up the Golden Globes. So I don't know if that's gonna be a case of like they cleaned up before, so they're not gonna clean up again, or it's like just play the hits, give them more awards. And then actor in a TV show, musical comedy.
Shrinking's another one, man. I think I've watched the majority of the first season, but it's a week to week thing that never got back on the 1 week.
Yeah, we got the two Only Murders in the Buildings actors. We got Jeremy Allen White. Then limited series.
Milioti.
Yep, that's the only one we can say we've seen.
Let's go.
Milioti, and then female actor in a supporting role. Haven't seen any of these. Baby Reindeer, I guess. So, shout out Liza Colon-Zayas. She's awesome.
Yep.
And then actor Andrew Scott for Ripley, Colin Farrell for the Penguin.
I saw Ewan McGregor thought it was for Obi-Wan.
No, a Gentleman in Moscow. But yeah, shout out Colin Farrell. Hopefully he picks up an award. But the rest, stand-up special. Do you watch any stand-up? Have you seen any?
I watched no, I have not seen any of these. I watched the Anthony Jeselnik new stand-up special. If you know Anthony Jeselnik, he's
love him.
Very very dark comedian. Very funny though. I watched it. It's funny again.
Was he snubbed here?
Probably. I'm sure if I watched any of these, I wouldn't laugh once. I don't love stand-up in general. I think who's the super popular stand-up comedian right now? Not Matt Rife, but it starts with a B.
He's in a Bud Light commercial where he thinks it's in a cologne commercial.
Not Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis is fine here and there. Nate Bargatze.
Oh, I don't know that guy.
He's I think a couple of his jokes here and there are funny, but like I could not go through a full. I'm sure if I were there and in the crowd, it's more funny. You get that presence of everyone, but
you get the drink tickets and
you get the drink tickets. Yeah, of course. So I'm sure those are funny. And my parents went to Nate Bargatze for my dad's birthday, I think, or maybe for something, maybe their anniversary. Can't remember. But they love it. They love him, and I think he's got funny jokes here and there. But not all of them hit. Not all of them hit.
Well, that's the Golden Globe nominees. So, like I mentioned, Emilia Perez leads the way with 10 nominations, and then Dune 2 only got 2 nominations. And then The Brutalist at 7, Conclave at 6, Anora at 5, The Substance at 5, Wicked, Challengers, The Wild Robot, A Real Pain all getting 4. Very interested to see how these correlate to the Oscars. So the Golden Globes award ceremony is January 3rd, and then we will get the Oscars nominations, I believe, January 27th. So we still got a ways to go here. But we'll get into trailers and movie news. Cam, I see you highlighted the 28 Years Later trailer. Is there a reason for that?
I'm sorry. Okay. I was just going through seeing where we were at. Kind of.
I was wondering if there's something was something wrong there, but no, we got the first trailer for 28 Years Later in theaters June 20th, 2025. Trailer looks great. There's obviously the big, is that Cillian Murphy as the zombie at the beginning?
Someone came out and said it's not, but also this makeup artist, I think is who it was, said it was him. Which if it is, cool. You could also just be lying. Like if it's supposed to be a big reveal, you could just be lying,
Yeah, I lean towards believing him because it was they do the classic thing, which I don't know why they do, or someone tweeted thing. Why do they do it? They start the trailer starting in 3, 2, 1.
The trailer starts now. I don't know.
So I feel like if they showed that was the first frame was showing that. So I feel like if they're really trying to keep it under wraps, that Cillian Murphy, I feel like they wouldn't show it there. So yeah, very funny. I think the trailer looks great. 28 Days Later notoriously is an impossible movie to watch unless you sail the 7 seas.
Yeah, it used to be on Max, and I watched in my first apartment. I started watching it with Emma, and she was like, "I don't like this," and I was like, "All right, I'll come back to it." Now you can't find it anywhere. I don't even know if it's on pirated websites. It probably is, but you can't find it anywhere, man.
I've never seen 28 Weeks Later. I love 28 Days Later. I've never seen 28 Weeks Later, and Justice for Months. We're skipping months.
Don't people not like 28 Weeks Later, or do they?
I think, definitely not nearly as much as 28 Days Later. I don't know if it's a hated movie or just bad.
It's a bad sequel that people don't like.
Yeah, but
could be wrong.
I'm excited for this. I mean, you get Cillian Murphy back, and this seems like it's going to be good again. So excited for it. We also got a teaser trailer for the John Wick spinoff Ballerina, We saw Keanu Reeves returning. It's in theaters on June 6th. Release the week prior, released like those god awful posters for it. But I don't know. I'm kind of out in the John Wick slopaverse, but I know you're more in on it. What were your thoughts?
I like Ana de Armas a whole lot. I've been excited for this just because I like John Wick, but the Continental sucked, right? This isn't Chad Stahelski, right? Or is it?
I do not believe it. I mean, I'm sure he's a producer.
That means
director for Ballerina.
Len Wiseman. Len Wiseman is the
yeah, he did the Underworld movies and Total Recall, Live Free or Die Hard.
I'm out. I appreciate his efforts, but like if you don't get Chad Stahelski back for a John Wick movie, no point in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's they're entering dangerous territory with the slop here because it's with the Continental being bad. I know they have like Donnie Yen movie coming out and John Wick 5 is probably gonna be coming out, but I feel like if you're a franchise, you can't afford 2 back-to-back stinkers. The Continental and Ballerina, they both stink. You're going to lose some fans. But
yep, definitely.
I think if you have a movie John Wick Chapter 5, people are going to.
But then you're going to John Wick Chapter 5 because your spinoff sucked. No one liked them. The answer is more slop.
Yeah, exactly. We got another trailer for Brady Corbet's The Brutalist. It was released, which again, like I said, is probably my favorite or my most anticipated movie left to see this year. But I made a note in here about the ReelTok Awards. A24, you're going to be zone of interested again. Seth can't see it until January. It comes out limitedly in end of December here, but I don't think me or Cam will be able to see it until after ReelTok nominations come out. So A24, you're going to be shut out. You're going to be shut out of the ReelTok Awards.
It's awful. Send us your movies, man.
I know. I emailed them trying. I was like, hey, ReelTok Award show's coming. Send us some screeners.
What'd they say?
Who
are you?
Haven't heard back.
Who the fuck are you?
Yep, exactly.
We have this candy we can send you.
Or blueberry scented candle for Heretic. Yeah. But speaking of Brady Corbet, so we saw that there's going to be like a horror Western that he's directing, as well as there's also this Amanda Seyfried, Thomas McKenzie, Lewis Pullman, Christopher Abbott, Tim Blake Nelson, and Stacey Martin are starring in a musical Anne Lee, which is developed by the team behind The Brutalist, Mona Fastvold and Brady Corbet. Films inspired by real events, an epic fable about religious leader Anne Lee, the founding leader of the Shaker movement. He's getting – this is Brady Corbet's second film, Vox Lux, I believe is his first one. This is clearly going to get a ton of critical acclaim, already has, but I mean, in terms of Oscars, it will. So he's already booked and busy. He's got 2 movies in the pipeline, a horror Western and this musical as well. So excited. We'll see what he's got. I mean, we'll see how much I like The Brutalist, but he's got more stuff in the pipeline. Big news this week was Austin Butler has officially been cast as Patrick Bateman in Luca Guadagnino's American Psycho movie. Everyone kind of thought it might be Jacob Elordi, but it's Austin Butler. What do you think of the casting?
I think it's great. I think Austin Butler is fantastic in everything nowadays. He's doing really, really well. Excited to see this casting. Just the discourse online is insane. Like the people that don't really understand American Psycho, I think they'd shoot themselves if they knew a woman directed that movie. Like it just some of the discourse about Luca Guadagnino directing this and they're going to make Patrick Bateman gay. Wild that we don't know that Patrick Bateman's gay. Like it's just.
I thought Sydney Volpe tweeted, like someone tweeted, like, God, he's gonna make Patrick Bateman gay.
Yeah,
he replied, like, I'm gonna hold your hand.
Hold your hand for this one. Yeah, like just use your head, people, and like, yeah, I think if they knew a woman directed the first one, they'd lose their mind. Like, let's use context clues in some movies and maybe read the source material a little. I haven't read the source material. I just kind of know about it. Just use your head, people. It's insane. Yeah. Don't be an asshat.
Mm-hmm. But in the sense of like, why is a remake being made? I agree. I don't think it needs a remake, but if it is going to be remade, Luca and Austin Butler, about as happy as I could be for 2 people coming. Then there's a discourse about like Austin Butler, like Hollywood's using the same stars over and over. But then when you actually look up his IMDb, he's only been in like 5 movies. Yeah. But to the credit of people saying recycled over and over, he definitely feels like he's been in more than that. Like it feels like he's been like a guy for a minute, but that might just be us.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the only movies I've ever seen him in, me personally, are Elvis and Dune Part 2. But he's booked and busy. He's in a lot of upcoming projects, but as of now, he's been in like that. Those 2 that I named, The Bike Riders.
He's in that TV show that flopped, Masters of the Air.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I remember that. I never watched that. But like you could go, here's the thing. tweet whatever you want while you're on film Twitter and stuff. Walk up to any person in your city and be like, name 3 Austin Butler movies, and they'll give you Dune Part 2, maybe can give you Elvis, and he's an Oscar winner for that. Won't be able to give you The Bike Riders, won't be able to give you anything else. So like, yeah, if you're tweeting that and like saying that, like, why are we using Austin Butler and everything, you're just not in touch with the world. You're just not. So.
Golden Globe winner, not Oscar winner. He was a run up to Brendan Fraser's The Whale.
Oh yeah, Golden Globe. Okay, thank you.
But
so then we got better. They're not going to remember that.
We got some cam news. Chris Evans, Anthony Mackie, Haley Atwell, and Benedict Cumberbatch are all set to return alongside Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers Doomsday, releasing May 1st, 2026. Thoughts?
I mean, Anthony Mackie and Benedict Cumberbatch are obvious and fine to me, just because they're still in the MCU and still like a part of it. Like, I get that. The big news being the Chris Evans, the Haley Atwell as well, and then we knew Robert Downey Jr. It doesn't, and I, listen to me throughout this pod. Like, I've become more cynical and more sad, it seems, because it doesn't feel like we're even trying to put a story on screen at this point. And I'll love the MCU for everything it's done, and everything. And I love projects in it still. And I'll watch them all. But it genuinely, with this movie, doesn't even feel like we're attempting to make a story. And I've seen comments or people talk of like, you don't read comic books, like, or just in general, read the comic books. Like, he comes back as whoever he can live. Yeah, sure. Totally. You don't need that in the movies, especially 5 years. It will be more than 5 years, but 5 years now since the release of like their major events. Like, you just don't need to keep recycling the same actors. Just do different things, do different stories. And I just, it's so clearly a head scratcher and a pivot from where they were trying to go with the Kang Dynasty. So yeah, it's a look, I'm excited. I'll go see it. My butt will be in a seat. I'm as well as a million more, but like, you couldn't convince me to be more excited for this movie than any of the DCU projects being announced right now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Not there. It doesn't feel like we're trying anymore, Marvel. It feels like we're just there for the cash, and I'm fine if we are there for the cash, but I appreciate when we feel like we're trying to make the story. But
yeah, we also got more news from the superior of the two universes right now. We got a Clayface movie in the works, written by Mike Flanagan. So Seth, obviously huge excited for that. Begins filming in early 2025. They said it's gonna be a horror thriller. It's not gonna paint Clayface as a Batman villain, which is what he more typically is. I don't know if that means they're gonna make him a non-villain, or if that more means they're just not gonna tie it into Batman.
No, I think that it's supposed to be like a horror tragedy type story of I think they're going to paint him as this like person who becomes deformed and has to do whatever he does because he is a tragic character. And I think that's very different from what, like, say, Sony's doing, of like changing all these characters to be like dark heroes, where they're like, yeah, I'm a hero, but I'll bite your head off because I'm Venom. But yeah, it's just it's very exciting. Mike Flanagan can do no wrong, in my opinion. Just after Haunting of Hill House, he deserves every bit of praise he can be given, even if he's made stinkers in his life. I liked The Fall of Usher. I like Midnight Mass, like things like that. Like, he's done really, really well. So I'm excited for him to write this. And I hope it does well. I hope these kind of things do well for the studio, so that they keep producing more of this.
Yeah, I mean, James Gunn keeps collecting very interesting writers, filmmakers, actors for his projects. So excited! I know you're building this.
I know you're not watching it. Creature Commandos just had Sergeant Rock in their episode, like in a flashback, and Sergeant Rock possibly being played by Daniel Craig, directed by Luca Guadagnino. If you get that in your cinematic universe, like, that's that's how it make. Even if you're looking for the money, like attach the DC label to it for the money. That makes it feel like you're trying to make a damn story rather than a big CGI fuckfest kind of.
Yep. And
one thing you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you were you talking Clayface still?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one thing I don't see on the rundown is they also confirmed the first DCU animated movie will be coming in 2028. It's called Dynamic Duo. It's about Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, their origin / coming of age story. I expect like a Spider-Verse is like kind of the model that they're looking at of like, we want it to be this good. Will it be that good? Probably not. But like, that's just another thing to be excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And very excited for next week because it has been confirmed next week the Superman trailer is releasing apparently.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
That's got to be like, yeah. I mean,
they got to hit home with that. They really have to.
Yeah, I can't imagine
man, the Fandango. Like, I understand there's no trailer for Superman. Like, a lot of people may not even know there's a Superman movie coming. The Fandango, like most anticipated 2025 releases, Captain America: Brave New World being number one still is just it's me being too much intact with film Twitter and too cynical. Like, I know out in the real world people are still foaming at the bit for the MCU. I get that, but like 9 being Superman and 1 being Captain America, I don't understand how you're amped for Captain America more than Superman. But I'm very excited for Captain America. But again, me being on film Twitter, it's gone through like 1 billion reshoots, and I'm not entirely sure it's going to be very good. But maybe if you don't know that kind of stuff, you're very excited for it. So. Yeah, we'll see.
That's also had like 5 trailers now at this point, where it's probably some other stuff for next year. Don't really have many trailers out, so that could impact it. But also just Captain America brand name's huge. So
definitely.
All right, final bits of news. A$AP Rocky is going to have the main role in Spike Lee's remake of High and Low, also starring Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, and Ice Spice. We have none of us have seen the original High and Low. I really need to see it, but I don't know. A$AP Rocky,
did he do the new movie that's like the Technicolor movie?
No, that's Travis Scott.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I feel like he's been in stuff before, though, right? A$AP Rocky. What is? Let's see what's on here. He was in Dope. Yep, he was in Dope. He was in Zoolander 2. Not a whole lot else.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah, he was in Dope, which I really like. He's in Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping, but he's probably just like himself.
Yep.
So High and Low. I mean,
he's got a
Spike
song.
Lee.
Popstar Never Stop, Never Stop.
Yeah, I'll trust Spike Lee.
Yep.
And it's Denzel Washington, who has limited projects left, and this is one he chose to be in. But A$AP Rocky, main role, so big make or break moment for him. And then Barbie 2 is in the works, but maybe not actually. Conflicting reports came out this week of if it's in the works or if it's not in the works. So we'll see. I don't really know what angle they'll go for if they go for it again, but it obviously will probably make another $1 billion. So I can see why they're going to want to push for it, but it's just a matter of if Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are interested in it. The Beatles verse continues to get cast out. So Paul Mescal going to be playing Paul McCartney. He's cast in it. Well, we know he's cast in the Beatles biopics, and he's been rumored to be playing Paul McCartney. And then Joseph Quinn is being eyed to play George Harrison. We've said it time and time again.
Barry Keoghan. I think they've confirmed that it's also Barry Keoghan and the guy in Baby Girl. Help me with his name.
Yep, Harris Dickinson. Yeah, I think that last week, I think we confirmed those two. This week, we're confirming these two.
Oh, okay.
Well, Joseph Quinn's not confirmed, but we kind of talked about it time and time again on this pod that none of us care about these movies. But
I'm not a Beatles guy. I like their music. I don't necessarily know them as people. So we'll see. We'll see.
A Pokemon project is being developed by Aardman, releasing in 2027. Yeah. So Cam, you got to. It's your job to make sure they have enough clay.
Can't
run out of clay anymore.
I loved Pokemon as a kid. I like Aardman. I'm in for it. Hell yeah.
Then we got 2 pieces of Ryan Reynolds news, which I'll ask you which one sounds more annoying. I know you're still a Ryan Reynolds guy. I'm so anti Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean Ryan Reynolds. I think he's just.
But which one? Okay, fine. Which one of these sounds better to you? First, number 1, Animal Friends, releasing October 10, 2025, described as a live-action CGI hybrid R-rated road trip adventure starring Ryan Reynolds, Jason Momoa, Vince Vaughn, Aubrey Plaza, and Addison Rae. So that's number 1.
Aubrey Plaza can do no wrong, but this sounds atrocious.
Number 2, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds will star in a new film together, Boy Band. The film follows members of a boy band who reunite when they are middle-aged men.
Yeah, I saw that. I like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds together. I still think they have good chemistry and they're really good friends. So like, I think they work well together. So I'm fine with it. It's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of Ryan Reynolds hate out there right now. He's very clearly not an auteur actor. He's very clearly not a person who's putting out projects to like win Oscars, or even attempt to. I think he's fine. Seems like a nice person. Seems like he's just trying to like be in Hollywood. And you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that the boy band movie, it won't be as good as Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping. So if people who still haven't watched that, go watch that. That's like the pinnacle boy band movie. It was funny, like that clip made the rounds of like him, like with Andrew Garfield. And when he's like, my dream is to like make a Sundance movie. And then people were quoting and be like, you can't even dream a whole dream, can you? From the holdovers. Yeah. He's like, not talking about Cannes Film Festival movies. He's like, his dream is a Sundance movie.
Yeah.
And then final two bits of news, or well, actually only final bit of news. The Prison Break reboot is moving forward at Hulu. So the series is going to be set in the same universe original series, but focus on new characters. I loved Prison Break when I was like in high school. Haven't returned to it since. I know they had like a season or two come out like 10 years later, like a couple of years ago. I think they had like another season come out. Yeah, on Hulu.
I have not seen that.
I did not care to go back to it, and I don't really think I'm going to be interested in going to this reboot. But
no, it's one of those. I really loved this as a show when it was, when I was in high school. Haven't watched it since. I'm in the same boat. Don't know. Like, it was really good. It was really good first season. I think the other seasons that fall off a little bit aren't bad. But like, I don't know. Just make it. I don't know if it's just like if it's just using the name and it's just about breaking out of a different prison, that's fine. But at that point, just use a different name and call it a different show.
Prison Break is the definition of slop now because it's expanding.
How much Prison Break like fans are coming back for? Like, how much extra money?
I mean, it's a very popular show, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, even the original series was slop because like season 1 they were in prison, breakout. Season 2 they're on the run. Season 3 they're like, let's just throw them back in prison, have them break out again. Like,
in a,
let's just play the hits,
prison, right?
Yeah, let's just have them. Let's do this. Let's run this back. But that's our episode today. So yeah, I mean, I liked season 1. I probably like the first 3. I think the final season I didn't care for as much. But thank you all for listening to me and Cam, battling our coughs and colds. Hopefully this episode wasn't grating on your ears for you guys and that you enjoyed just us two fellas talking. But shout out to our executive producer, Stefan Johnson. Thank you for being such a king this holiday season and all year round. Thank you to all of our Patreon members. It's always, such a blessing that we have you all here supporting us each week. If you want to become a Patreon member or if you want to continue your patronage, code Santa, 20% off. It's going through the new year, so we only got like 2 weeks left of this coupon being active. So go ahead and use that code to get 20% off your membership. But with that, we will see you all on Thursday with a draft of the best Christmas movies that aren't actually Christmas movies at all. And this week on Patreon only is going to be a review of Tenet, so stay tuned for that. And then next week, we're going to be reviewing Mufasa, Sonic the Hedgehog, and we're going to do like an all things Christmas episode, just like we did with Halloween. So we'll look forward to seeing you there. But that is Real Talk episode 119. Cam, pleasure doing this with you, just us two carrying. So it was an absolute pleasure, man. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I hope everyone hearing this has a great week. Peace out.